County Sheriff's Office uncovered what they say is a smuggling operation involving more than 30 people.
America, we just uncovered what might be one of the most sophisticated smuggling operations we'd ever seen. Federal agents intercepted 30 Chinese nationals and 370 pounds of cocaine in a single operation off the Florida coast. And it all started with criminals renting an Airbnb to plan their international drug and human trafficking scheme. But here's the kicker, this wasn't just some random boat crossing. This was a coordinated operation involving 3 boats, counter surveillance teams on beaches, and what appears to be a new pipeline bringing drugs and people directly from the Bahamas to American shores.
On board, 30 Chinese nationals, including 2 children, 5 Bahamians, and 168 kilograms of cocaine.
Definitely drug trafficking.
They were coming from the Bahamas. We are certain of that.
What is up, guys? Tyson Dela Cruz here. Thank you so much for rocking with me. This story shows exactly how criminal organizations are adapting to Trump's border security. They're literally using the shared economy to plan international smuggling operations while exploiting our maritime borders. Let me break down how this whole operation unfolded because it reads something out of a movie. It all started when investigators discovered a group of men had rented an Airbnb in Fort Pierce and were planning to travel to the Bahamas to pick up drugs and smuggle undocumented immigrants back into the United States.
Soon finding this involved 3 boats, a counter surveillance team, and 38 people.
Think about this for a second. These criminals are using Airbnb to plan international drug trafficking operations. They're booking vacation rentals like they're planning a family trip, except instead of going to Disney World, they're coordinating cocaine smuggling from the Bahamas. The next morning at 5:30 a.m., 2 boats left Fort Pierce Inlet while federal agents were watching everything. But here's where it gets interesting. There was a 3rd boat that nobody initially knew about. This shows the level of sophistication we're dealing with here. Diversion.
The boats, all between 33 and 42 feet, were spotted, with 2 complying and the 3rd trying to escape. On board, we're told, is a total of 370 pounds of cocaine and 30 Chinese nationals, including 2 children.
When you've got multiple agencies working together, DEA, St. Lucie County Sheriff's Office, U.S. Customs and Border Protection, Homeland Security Investigations, Florida Fish and Wildlife, and Florida Highway Patrol, this is a massive operation. Now, here's what really gets me about this story. Among those 30 Chinese nationals were 2 children. Let that sink in. These smugglers put kids on boats with 370 pounds of cocaine and sent them across international waters in what essentially is a floating drug lab.
Traffickers flying commercially into the Bahamas, then paying about $30,000 to $35,000 per person to be smuggled into South Florida by boat.
So it's obviously criminal organizations in Southeast Asia and China that are bringing them.
We're talking about criminal organizations in Southeast Asia and China that are specifically targeting Chinese nationals for this pipeline. But here's the part that should terrify every parent in America. They're using children as human shields in these operations. When you put kids on boats with hundreds of pounds of cocaine, you're not just trafficking drugs, you're endangering children for profit. The Chinese nationals are being held in U.S. Coast Guard and expected to be sent back to China. Think about that. These people probably spent their life savings, risked everything to get in America, and now they're going back home with nothing while real criminals who organized this operation are still out there. Sheriff Richard Del Toro didn't mince any words about what this represents.
We won't tolerate criminals using our shores as their pathway. Our county will not be a gateway for criminal enterprises. I'm proud of the teamwork and tenacity shown by all the local, state, and federal agencies involved.
But here's the bigger picture that should concern everyone. This is part of a growing trend. Agent Bobette said he's been tracking this pattern recently, and it all ties back to tightening of the southern border, pushing more people to come by sea.
So what we've seen is the Bahamas has really relaxed a lot of their immigration, and so people are going there as kind of a launching point to get here to the United States.
There's only 3 ways to smuggle: land, sea, and air. And with land routes being more restrictive at this point, sea and air are the way to go.
The data backs this up. Drug seizures on land at the southern border are dropping, down 331 this July compared to 453 the year before. But in the air and at sea, the trend is opposite. Last year, air and marina operation agents recorded just over 1,000 seizures. This year, by July alone, they've already logged more than 800. If that pace holds, 2025 will far surpass last year's numbers. And Agent Bobbitt says we haven't even seen the worst of it yet. He says it's definitely going to increase. It's not going to slow down anytime soon. The profits are way too high. Here's where this operation gets really sophisticated. They had counter surveillance teams operating on beaches. 3 Bohemians were arrested on land for conducting surveillance operations to help the boats avoid detection.
Saying 5 men from the Bahamas were found on the boats and arrested, along with 3 people on land, acting as counter surveillance.
Think about the level of organization this requires. Airbnb rentals for planning, 3 boats for redundancy, counter surveillance teams on beaches, international coordination between China, Bahamas, and the United States, $30,000 plus per person regarding the pricing structure. This isn't some desperate people trying to escape poverty. This is an organized criminal enterprise with international reach, sophisticated logistics, and serious money behind it. The fact that they had people on beaches conducting counter surveillance shows they knew law enforcement might be watching. They had contingency plans, backup boats, and coordinated timing. Agent Bobbitt revealed something crucial about why this pipeline is growing. The Bahamas has really relaxed a lot on their immigration, so people are going there as a launching point into the United States.
A wave of migrant boats
They were flying in pretty fast.
hitting the shores of Fort Pierce in just hours.
I saw all the government roll in the inlet, lights, sirens, everything.
So here's what's happening. The Bahamas has become a staging area for smuggling operations targeting the United States. Chinese nationals and others are flying there legally, then paying criminal organizations to smuggle them into Florida by boat. In my opinion, this creates a perfect storm. Relaxed Bahamas immigration makes it easier to get there. Tightened southern border forces smugglers to marina time routes. High profits, 30,000 plus per person, makes it worth the risk. And sophisticated networks that can coordinate complex operations. Sheriff Del Toro is expecting to see a lot more cases like this.
We do have a border here in Florida. It's our coastline. And so our Marine unit's out here, but the biggest thing is working with our federal partners. You know, when I came into office, those relationships had been pretty much severed. We were not working on any task force with the DEA, FBI, U.S. Marshals. We've kind of revitalized all of those. And we are just now working full steam ahead with those partners.
The Coast Guard issued a clear warning. Anybody attempting to enter the United States illegally by sea will be interjected and deported to their country of origin or departure. America, this Fort Pierce operation exposes a fundamental shift on how criminal organizations are adapting to American border security. When we tighten the southern border, they don't give up. They find new routes, they find new methods, and new ways to exploit our system. The fact that these criminals were using Airbnb to plan international drug trafficking operations shows how these criminals are integrating into our legitimate economy to facilitate their illegal activity. They're not operating some underground network. They're using the same platforms and services that regular Americans use every single day.
It's a threat. It's a threat to our community. It's a threat to our nation. That's why our Marine unit, you know, we've upped our number of Marine deputies, you know, out on the waterways now. Making sure we're keeping our coastline safe and doing our job.
The 30 Chinese nationals caught in this operation are victims of a sophisticated criminal enterprise that charged them tens of thousands of dollars and put their lives at risk. The 2 children on those boats could have died if something went wrong, and the 370 pounds of cocaine would have flooded American communities with deadly drugs. But here's what gives me hope. Law enforcement agencies are adapting as well. When you have DEA, HSI, CBP, Coast Guard, and local sheriffs all working together to take down even the most sophisticated operations. The message to criminal organizations is clear. We're watching the land, we're watching the sea, and we're watching the air. There's no safe route for smuggling drugs and people into America. Let me know what you guys think about this. Drop it down in the comment section down below. Smash the like button if you kindly would. Share, subscribe, and as always, guys, I'll catch you on the next one.